Hey Alex, while I had your video, I figured I'd do a comparison on the serve for you real quick. There's just so many elements to it that having this kind of recorded and at your fingertips is really powerful. So we'll just move through this little. So obviously you're on the left. I have a pro example on the right hand side. I just want to compare a few key things here. So we have the toss. One thing about your toss, I don't think you have an issue putting in the same spot every time, but usually this amount of knee bend in the toss and then into throwing the ball makes it really volatile to keep all in the same place. But if it's not bothering you, I don't hate it. All right, so a couple things I want to compare. This is your trophy position to, let's get to hers. All right, so right here, you're in more of a racket drop at this point. You kind of skip a little bit of trophy. You go kind of right to the racket drop, which is okay. Your trophy's a little high. I would like for the line between your left shoulder to your right elbow to be in one straight line. We've kind of got a Y formation going on here, which just kind of breaks the chain of energy from the rest of your body. So I'd like for this portion where your left arm is raised up from your toss, and I'd like your right shoulder to be somewhat in a straight line downwards here. It just connects the energy from your chest to your arm a little bit better. Right now we got kind of three lines here. We got the left arm up, the chest straight, and then the right arm up as well. We just lose a lot of potential energy in this phase here. Okay, so something to work on there. All right, and then moving forward to the racket drop position. This is about as far down as your racket goes. We talked a little bit about the racket flexibility in the shoulder. So the further this drops down, the more you can get. Obviously, the one on the right, she's just got way more flexibility in the rotator cuff than you do. We can work on getting that more. But if we look really closely here at your wrist, we still have a little bit of that laid back position, and we want that more in a neutral position here. If you look at her wrist, it's pretty well in line with the rest of her body. You're not laid back a lot. She's using this to bring the racket back down. So for you, you need to curl the wrist in just slightly more, and that allows you to dip the racket down further in this direction here, similar to what she's doing. Okay, and then as we get to contact, I didn't notice this until we recorded the video, and I'm looking now, is you've probably been screamed at a ton to keep that left arm up in the air as long as possible. And this is kind of what I see from people that take a lot of drills and sessions where people are dropping their left arm early. We talked a little bit about this, is usually you want the hand inverted and pointing the palm towards the ground, so it helps you rotate the body more efficiently. Keeping the left arm up here is a product of people screaming at you for ages to leave the left arm up longer, and then people just kind of stick it up there, and now it's in the way as you swing the ball rather than helping your torso rotate downwards. So that's something to work on definitely. It's just we have a big break in the power again, kind of that same Y formation. So if we can bring the right shoulder up as you bring the left arm down and keeping as straight of a line as possible, that's how you keep all the energy from the torso going into your serve. Okay, and then if we look at the pro example here, scoot back out a little bit, that's the line I'm talking about. You see from arm all the way to the other shoulder is one straight line. So the more you can do this, the more energy you keep in into the serve. And there's always going to be a little bit of bend from hand over to racket, but what we're looking at here is a nice relaxed neutral position with the wrist where we're not flexing too much. And then if we just kind of zoom in on yours a little bit, we still have that flex of the wrist outwards, and that just takes away more energy, using the energy from the hand and not so much from the rest of the torso. Okay, and let's move on here to the follow through. And this is the portion I had you work on before. So you see the face of the racket right now, it's pointing forward, and it still just kind of keeps pointing forward and just kind of goes down. There's a little bit of rotation here from this point to this point, but if we're looking at how much the shoulder rotates on the pro example, She's got a little bit more of a wrist flex than I'd like as well here, but see how the racket's pointing a completely different way, almost over to, don't have a lot of frames in here, but over to the right hand side, and yours is still facing downwards. The more you can get the racket kind of all the way around means the more we're using the shoulder to do the rotation through. And then if I look, I just noticed now your left arm is still up in the air, which is just way longer than it needs to be, and it's not helping you at this point. It's just kind of hanging out, and we don't need to do that. The proper way is to kind of tuck it into the body. You can't see the front of the Pro example here, but usually it's tucked in, and like the forearms kind of tucked into the body here. That part really doesn't matter too much. It's kind of preference on what you do. There's some pros that kind of swing their arm out this way by the time they're done. It really doesn't matter, but we do want the left arm out of the way so you can fully rotate your body all the way forward. Because if you look at her now, her torso is after contact facing forward, and you after contact is still facing over to the right hand side. Just means we haven't rotated quite far enough. Okay. I think that's all my notes on the serve. I know you did a bunch of work after this, so it's not your most recent one anyway. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions, and we'll link up on this next time. I'll send you a couple videos as well to look at the throwing motion. I think I already sent it to you before, but I'll link to that in our texts. And then I have another training video about, flat versus spin. Your delivery right now is pretty across the body this way. So if I'm just looking, you're swinging all the way from behind your body over to the right, and we produce a ton of spin this way, but not a ton of power. If we're looking at a ton of power, the racket would start kind of here behind you and then just go straight up to the ball and then into the court. So those are the two different deliveries we talked about. I'll have a video for you to get into that as well. But yeah, I wanted to get this analysis in front of you. Let me know if you have questions, okay? Thanks, man. Grab a few here.
All right, last one.